Welcome to a series of podcasts from New Prime. So, what do we have today?
Unemployment in India.
Okay.
We'll be talking about that today. So, the question is unemployment rates in India, is it because of the lack of education, or maybe people are not realizing the skills, or what would you weigh more, a person with good skills or a person with a great qualification?
You would always weigh a person with good skills
Okay.
over qualifications at an entry level. But if you want to look at people at the executive position, you would probably want to weigh in the qualifications too. But at a base level, skills would
Matter more.
matter more than qualifications.
All right. And talking about the underprivileged society and the free education they're provided with by the government,
Yeah.
do they pay off later on do they give any hope for employment in the future, or is it like just namesake? Is it of any good for the...
I mean, having educated people is far better situation than having no educated people at all.
Yeah.
So you might as well direct government funds to increasing the education of people, who in turn might become productive and contribute to the society. So if they're not educated, I think government will have the responsibility to take care of them for a very long period of time. So government is better off giving education for free, so that these people grow up after a period of 16 to 18 years, contribute to the economy overall.
So there's unemployment, and there are people who don't really have jobs but do something in the evening, like sell pani puri or get really less salaries.
Yeah.
So does these factors really underestimate the actual unemployment level of India?
So these are unorganized sectors. So unorganized sectors are, I mean, you generally have a tendency to leave them off the traditional statistic that you quote.
Yeah.
So there's no way to find out whether they've been looking out for a job or they've been counted as part of employment.
All right. Yeah, and there's one more thing. Say you're considering the quality of the government. If you want to decide if the government is doing a good job or not, one way to see it is, the employment rate is increasing. That means the government's doing a good job.
Yeah.
So how would you decide that when it's very correlated to the market value? Like if there's high demand in the market, the employment rate is obviously going to increase. So
High demand of what?
jobs, the number of jobs that are required is increasing.
Yeah.
That will obviously increase the...
Basically, you're saying like market fluctuations hide the systemic issues of not having enough skilled people, which will
Exactly.
generate unemployment.
Yeah.
It's totally possible. I mean, when the market is going in the right direction, wherein people are getting recruited by lots of companies to do lots of jobs,
Yeah.
basically you're creating a wave which you think will go forever, ideally.
Yeah.
If they were to continue hiring the same way, the wave usually doesn't go that way, because after some point there is usual overheating. People are employed in fields which don't actually contribute to the economy. There are lots of products which don't even make it to the market. So all that slack that is created in the system has to be paid off. So when they pay off those areas of slack, you will have not optimal allocation of resources. So you will have slowdown in the economy. It's quite natural. So if you push, let's say, it's like the ideal analogy would be to build lots of houses and you don't know what the demand ought to be, and you build up way too many houses expecting the demand to rise, looking at the past trend. So at some point there will be ghost houses, wherein houses which are not occupied by occupants because the demand has fallen, because the prices are too high. Even people wait out until the prices come down. So it is usually the case that market variation hides systemic reasons for unemployment.
If you have to talk about the most unemployed states in India, which are literally below the graph, for example, Assam is the most unemployed state. What do you think are the factors that account for states to come in these numbers, because that they're the most unemployed? Like, how do you address the problem?
It's very hard to point out as to why that is the case. There might be numerous reasons why one state has higher unemployment rate as opposed to another state. So I wouldn't actually trust any data that's put out by Indian government as of now, because unemployment definition is the number of people employed to the number of people who are looking out for jobs, and that denominator is very suspect, because you really don't know how often people look out for jobs and how often they get rejected. So that denominator is very circumspect, and it will remain circumspect as long as you have systems to track people in real time, like they have in other countries. And with Aadhaar being the way by which you can track all all the transactions, this might come into effect, optimistically speaking, in 2 years' time. So in 2 years' time, you will have credible employment records of everybody. At that point, you'll be able to say for sure as to which state is employing lots of people and which state isn't. So I wouldn't read too much from the employment statistics, but an alarming difference between states can be accounted if we can find corresponding variable which has a causal relationship with unemployment. Let's say highly unproductive youth or lots of illiterate people, that can correlate directly with unemployment. But apart from absent these factors, you cannot say with absolute surety that there is a cause for people to be unemployed, at least at this point in the way in which data is collected. So that's a wrap. Please do join us again. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you.